Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be playing some Brawl, because it's been a while, and it's going to be standard Brawl today. We're going to be playing with a familiar commander, and one that I would imagine is quite popular. It's got a very cool style to it. It's going to be Chulane, Teller of Tales, from the Brawl Precons, 2 and Bant colors for a 2/4 with Vigilance. Whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and then you may put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. Pay 3 and tap it to return a creature you control to its owner's hand. So essentially what we want to be doing with Chulane, the general gist of this one, is going to be a Bant ramp kind of shell. So we're going to want to drop down Chulane as early as possible, so that's going to require us to have lots of mana dorks like Elysian Caryatid, Incubation Druid, Gilded Goose, so on and so forth. And then from there, if we get it down early enough, whenever we cast those mana dorks later down the line, we're going to be drawing cards off of these cheap spells. So we can go really hard onto our board without having to care too much about board wipes and things like that. And as we're doing it, we're going to be putting lands from our hand onto the battlefield as well. So, you know, they're going to be ramping us twofold. From there, we're going to have to find some payoffs. We've got a couple in our deck. One of them obviously being Finale of Devastation, a ramp all-star for Brawl. 2 and X for sorcery. You search for 10 or more on the X, and then you get to grab any creature you want. Essentially out of this deck, and all your creatures get +X and haste until the end of the turn. So what you want to do is you want to pull out your end raise forerunners, because this one has vigilance, trample, and haste, and also gives +2/+2 and vigilance, so pretty much ends the game on the spot. That's kind of one of our payoffs. But we do have a few other pieces from M21. It's the reason why I kind of wanted to come back and explore this deck a little bit more. One of those being one of the new mana dorks, being Llanowar Visionaries, just a really solid card in a Chulane deck. It's obviously not the main reason why I went after Chulane. It would be pretty weird to just look at this and go, I need to build a Chulane deck. But no, there's a few cards in here that are just really solid stuff. And Llanowar Visionary being a mana dork, which goes very well with Chulane, and also drawing us cards to make sure that we hit our land drops and, you know, do Chulane things is all the better. We do have Jolrael, Molnvuli Recluse as well, 2 mana 1/2. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, you create a 2/2 green cat creature token. So if you get this down at the right time, every single creature you're going to be playing is going to draw you cards. So the second card you draw is going to get you that 2/2. And then from there, we should hopefully have a decently sized hand, and we can use the 6 mana activation there to give our creatures base power and toughness XX, where X is the number of cards in our hands. So gonna have about 4 or 5 cards, I would imagine, on average in our hand at all times, so we can turn our little creatures like our Gilded Geese into base power 4/4s to swing over and hopefully just pressure our opponent out of nowhere and force some chump blocks. As far as like removals concerned, we've got Voracious Hydra in the creature type. We do want to kind of focus as much on creatures as possible to leverage the card draw on the cast trigger for Chulane, and also the bounce trigger as well. So there's a lot of ETB removal spells, Voracious Hydra being one of them. You can pay X and then you can either double it or you can use it to fight. I also have Cavalier of Dawn, which kills any non-land permanent and leaves them with a 3/3, which we can keep bouncing and have fun with. And Kogler right at the top end from Ikoria as well is another good one. As far as like new M21 additions are concerned that go very well with Chulane, we've got a repeatable bounce with Baron, I guess, Tolarian Archmage, 3 mana 2/2, allows you to bounce creatures and planeswalkers. If you bounce one of your own creatures, you get to draw a card on your end step, which is kind of nice. So we could bounce a Gilded Goose, for example, to produce another food token, but also maybe just to be mana efficient and replay into the Chulane draw trigger, excuse me. We've got Mangara, the Diplomat, as well. I just feel like this card is very good in Brawl. It's a 4 mana 2/4 with lifelink. It doesn't particularly synergize with Chulane, but I feel like it's just a very good value card. So I want to try it out in just a deck that doesn't really try to leverage this one as much as possible, because I think the passives on this are just absolutely insane for an EDH-style format like this one. 4 mana 2/4 with lifelink. Whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, you get to draw a card, which is, in theory, going to happen fairly often. And then, as well, whenever your opponent casts their second spell each turn, you also get to draw a card. So you're going to be punishing your opponent for attacking you, and also punishing your opponent for playing too many spells on their turn. So it's got a lot of applications here to stop aggro, with it being a 2/4 lifelink, and also drawing you cards from your 2 creatures, so we can potentially find answers from that draw. And also control decks as well that might want to be like very much tap out control, playing their second spells, also going to punish them for that as well, which is kind of nice. But in general, it's just, I feel like it's just a very nice valued creature. Also have Elder Gargaroth, again, just another very nice valued creature with Teferi Time Raveler being banned in Brawl. It's going to be one less thing that we have to worry about getting our creatures bounced, essentially, and having 5 mana do-nothings enter the battlefield, so I just want to use this card as much as possible. I think this is maybe one of my favourite M21 cards for no particular reason other than it's just very cool. I love this style of card, and I've missed it for a long time, so I guess that's why I'm putting it in the deck. But a 5 mana 6/6 with keyword soup that doesn't have haste and questing beasts, 19 lines, vigilance, reach, and trample. It's going to be very good against flyers decks and things like that, and also a good attacker, good a blocker, because whenever it attacks or blocks, you get to either gain 3 life, draw a card, or make a beast token, so there's a hell of a lot of value there, and yeah, we're just going to try and leverage that just as a nice beatdown card anyway. But yeah, that's essentially the deck. The only thing I really would mention as far as the mana base is concerned is that we are a Field of the Dead deck. Since Chulane, when you draw a card, allows you to put a land from your hand onto the battlefield. And we do have, in our 3 colours, a fairly widespread mana base as well. I've not gone too into the Field of the Dead, because I feel like you just kind of... you'll get there when you get there most of the time. So putting 9,000 tap lands in the deck to, you know, lower the amount of basics we have just wasn't really on my radar and on my to-do list, I'll say. But yeah, we got 3 plains, 1 island, and 6 forests. So realistically, you're only really going to double down on forests every now and then, and we can crack with Evolving Wilds and Fable Passages to go find the missing basics like our island and our plains if we really need to. But yeah, that's essentially the deck. If you do enjoy the content, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button and subscribe, and without further ado, let's continue onward, shall we? This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alrighty, we're in. This hand looks pretty decent, so we're going to keep it. We're up against Heliod Sun-Crowned, a 3-mana enchantment legendary creature god with Indestructible. Going to go Breeding Pool tapped. And it says, as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, Heliod isn't a creature, and whenever you gain life, you put a counter on a creature or enchantment you control. You can also pay 2 to give another creature lifelink. It's very good, and we might actually have a little bit of a problem with it, to be honest. If we can't deal with it properly. I mean, we could turn it into a 3/3 elk, and that will solve most of our issues, but we have to wait until it's actually a creature before we can enchant it in that way. Which might not be a problem, to be fair. We are getting close to our 5-drop slot anyway, so... not offering our Soulmender trade is sad. I wish we could. Alright, so we're going to go with Temple of Plenty here. See what we'll draw. Land to the bottom. We're going to probably shuffle it back in anyway with the Fable Passage, so that's not really going to help us in particular, but it'd be nice if we can set up the transformation, or even just get down Chulane and hope our opponent doesn't have Banishing Lights and Prism Realms, because that would suck. I mean, at this point as well, also ECD would be sad. Alright, so thankfully the Birth of Meletis went into the graveyard, so the devotion keeps Heliod down for a little while longer. And Soulmender gains some life, so we've got a 4/4. Okay. Well, we don't get to do anything immediately off of Chulane, so we could wait a little while and go for something like... maybe Elder Gargaroth, perhaps? Or do we want something that enters the battlefield immediately? I just don't know what we'd hit. Do you really care about turning a Soulmender into anything else? I feel like I might just go for the Elder Gargaroth, to be honest. And so actually we get to go for the Biomancer's Familiar as well, I suppose. Forgot about the Caryatid getting a little bit of a pump there. So we got big manas. And as expected, our opponent does have some removal. Big manas going away. Could have some big follow-up mana though. Alright, so just going to get in for 4. We're going to allow it and they'll probably tap out again. Short of Johnny, I think Strength of the Pride? Is that what it's called? I don't think we have to worry too much about big life gain from our opponent. Necessarily. Alright, so let's crack the Fabled Passage. We shall grab... I think green. We got double white. We can work our blue in. And yeah, I think we're just going to go Chulane into guaranteed Paradise Druid draw here. And we get a Kogla, which can actually be quite useful. And yeah, just pass it up. So how do we want to do this? Opponent gets in. I think we allow it. We can still keep taking this damage. We're in no rush to kill Soulmender. Our opponent's got a big play they want to make. Potentially Cavalier, maybe? Or Elspeth Conquers Death? Neither. Huh. What have they got in hand? We know they've got playables. They've got to have playables. Weird. Okay, well, let's go with... I think we'll hold for now. We'll go 2. This won't get pumped until later. We've got to be kind of careful with how we use Kogla. I guess we'll go Garenbrig here. Because I do want to give him Indestructible so we can fight the Soulmender. Maybe they've got God's Willing open. And that would make a little bit of sense. I guess I could just go with the Cavalier instead. For... Play the land drop. Let's do Kogla as it is. Endray's Forerunners. Yeah, I think I might just take a creature off the board, like a giant killer instead. Gonna give it lifelink so they can pump the Soulmender. And go on, put it on the Soulmender. Nice. Alright, and that means now we can go with Cavalier, draw a card, kill Soulmender, and turn it just into a nice little 3/3 that dies to Kogla's attack trigger. And we've got Endray's Forerunners to follow up next turn for a big, huge swing that makes that life total of theirs mostly irrelevant. Let's see. This only costs 1 to tap, but we can't really do much with that. Right? Yeah, this is 1 green on Kogla. So we can make him indestructible and bounce Chulane out of the way if they've got some sort of removal for it. I think it's better than taking the command attacks into account. And yeah, our opponent scoops it up. I wonder what they were holding with their 3 cards. I know they were holding priority at least with the life gain trigger on Heliod there, but they had like 4 or 5 mana open. I would really thought it was going to be an Elspeth Conquers Death or something like that. But I think there's probably not really much they can play here other than a Shatter the Sky that I don't think they'll be running. That really kind of, you know, dampers what we were doing there. I think we've got a pretty good game otherwise. And yeah, solid stuff. Alright, let's go for the next game. Oh my, this is a game I'm not really looking forward to be honest. But we'll give it a shot. This hand seems reasonable otherwise. Alright, our opponent is playing... Hang on. Temple... Take the command tower, yep. Narset of the Ancient Way. 4 mana in Jeskai colours. For a 4 loyalty planeswalker you get to tick up. Add 2 life and 1 of any Jeskai colour. Now we'll just go command tower and incubation druid here. We want to ramp towards our dead Chulane. The -2 is the reason why Chulane's going to die almost immediately. Draw a card, then you may discard a card. If you do, Narset of the Ancient Ways deals damage equal to that card's converted mana cost to that creature or planeswalker. And then the -6 gives our opponent a shock off of every non-creature spell. I don't think we play Biomancer's Familiar here. Although it would make Incubation Druid 3 and then mana neutral. I guess we could. Sure, why not? This is probably counter magic anyway, let's be fair. So, yeah, this Narset deck comes in 2 forms. It's either Super Friends, I guess 3 forms. It's either Super Friends, Control, or Super Friends Control. Which one's it going to be, opponent? We had the slight added benefit here of, you know, being a little bit ahead on mana. So our opponent doesn't get to just turbo slam out their Narset. And also 3 Fairy no longer exists as well, which is an absolute joy. Okay, so we're just going to go Fable Passage Crack and get a white source so that we can use our Elspeth Conquers Death. We already have the double green for the Great Henge. From there, we can adapt and see if it dies. Sweet. Is this... Next time a creature adapts this turn, adapt it as though it had no counters on it. So yeah, we can adapt the Incubation Druid and make it a lot bigger of a creature. Let's find out if that really matters, though. As we can't really play anything, we might as well just do it on our opponent's end step. See if they crack their Omen of the Sea here, maybe to scry. Look for the red mana they need for Narset. It'd be nice if they don't know that I can adapt Incubation Druid again, because normally the way that the mechanic works is that you're not allowed to adapt after it has already got counters on it. So if I activate Biomancer's Familiar, one of the pieces of text that is rarely used on that card, I might be able to dodge their minus effect if they were to play it there. If they were to, say, drop a 5-drop in so that they could kill my Incubation Druid. Alright, so we're going to hit the Incubation Druid. It produces 3 mana, which is 4 total, and a activated ability reduction there. So we've got ourselves a 6/8. And now we've got to figure out how we want to play this, because they've got counter magic open, and I have no way of really, I guess, stopping them from attacking my hand with counter spells and whatnot. So this could just be a board wipe incoming. I guess I could just go for a Kogler and see what happens. I just don't really like the idea of that. This is just absolutely guaranteed to get countered, though. That's kind of my problem. I think I'll just get in with the Incubation Druid for 6. And see how we get on. I've got to force them to use, like, a Shatter the Sky here, because they're in, like, Time Wipe Shatter the Sky territory now. Cycles are neutralized, there you go. So if we'd have played the Great Henge into that, we'd have essentially got nothing for it. Here's 5 mana. So, do they have Time Wipes? It will really hurt us if we don't draw a land. If they can manage to blow up the world. Yeah, Banishing Light. Equally problematic, I would say. Well, at least we've got something to do with Night of Autumn, I guess. So let's do that now. Destroy Banishing Light, get back our Incubation Druid, and swing for 2. Again, though, we're just adding things to a board wipe at this rate, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Could really just do with some lands. Ooh, there we go, there's an Uro. Okay, so we can adapt for 3. And then let's just play Uro, I guess. Hanging on something here, and they'll let that one go. Sphere, probably would too. Oh, Faith Spheres is very good. That's going to allow us to keep their Narset on the field while also making it completely useless. Very huge pickup for us there. Got a Blast Zone. I could put it on 2 and it'd get rid of my Familiar and Incubation Druid. Not much I can do about that unless I draw my Field of Ruin. I do have a lot of 2-drops in this deck as well, so it's pretty effective if they wait a little bit longer, but Longer they wait, more chance I have of finding my good cards. They're going to go for the -2 here. Presumably to drop a 5-drop into the yard to kill Incubation Druid. It's going to be for a 2. Interesting. Perhaps a blocker? Okay. Not really what I was expecting. Let's go after Narset and force them essentially to tap out in order to keep her alive, maybe? Because I really want to resolve this Great Henge. And I would have thought they'd really want to keep their Narset around, but turns out I was wrong about that. Yeah, I guess I could just drop down my Chulane and then... I just don't want to do it for 0 value is the thing. Perhaps go for a Maraleaf Pixie then. Am I just playing too carefully around board wipes? Or is this the exact amount of careful I should be playing? Oh, Blast Zone as well. I've completely just blocked that one out of my mind. I don't know why I played Maraleaf Pixie. I'm stupid. I'm stupid, chap. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot. No reason for them to wait on that. Just do it. Just make me miserable. Wow, really? Alright, well, at least we get a little bit of value before it hits the trash bin. So I could do... If I did the adapt, I wouldn't be able to play the Great Henge in time. I'm just gonna go for it. I hate playing against Narset decks. Here's the Absorb. Rewind. That will also do it. Untap all your mana. As though you never played a card at all, and then we'll go to combat. Yeah. Shouldn't have a Maraleaf Pixie in play right now. Interesting. Are we just going to wait until I end my turn? Yeah, apparently so. Taking 2 in order to potentially get another 2-drop out of us. Suppose it's not that bad, considering their commander does gain them life every attack, and then because they've got, you know, an endless supply of counter magic, why would they ever tap out? So let's just play Paradise Druid and skip our land drop again. And we're just going to pass the turn. We do have lots and lots of Planeswalker-related answers. So if they are just kind of just durdling until they get to Ugin the Spirit Dragon, they're going to have to tap out for it, and then we'll be able to answer it. And just get on in. Swift response. Okay. We could play Uro here. I think we might as well. Our graveyard doesn't matter a great deal. But it matters to a very small extent. So we're going to be keeping Cavalier of Thorns targets. So let's get rid of those and leave the Great Henge and Biomancer's Familiar, maybe? Actually, no. I'm more likely to want enchantment removal, I think. We'll keep the Great Henge as well, because it's a nice card advantage. It's going to get countered anyway. But 4 mana to get a counter out of them, perhaps. Wow, okay. And we got Field of the Dead. Actually, the best possible pickup we could have here. Short of them having Field of Ruin, a single card in their deck. That's going to be a repeatable way of us dealing damage to them. Should we find land drops? We haven't found them in 9 years, so... Goodbye, Uro. You did a decent job. Ooh, there's Garen Break. Okay, so Field of the Dead online. We do need to deal with the Wanderer. Let's do that via... Could do it via Elspeth Conquers Death, perhaps. Then again, I mean, what's it really doing? Let's just play Chulane. Yeah, this is going to be a loss of control for them real quick, as they run out of counter spells and as my Field of the Dead takes over. All of my important cards, like Banishing Light, Faith's Fetters, and Elspeth Conquers Death, are going to start resolving. There's Narset, sure. Does need taking care of. But we have plenty of options. They get Devious Cover-Up, because running out of counter spells is not on their docket. Alright. Non-combat damage. Okay, so we can go straight after Narset here. We know they've got Devious Cover-Up, and they've got the mana open for it, so how do we want to proceed? Could just drop down Kogla. I don't see it mattering a great deal. Then again, holding up and Tail's End is kind of important. We could do both, because we got the Garen Brig. So if I was to do Garen Brig here, we can still hold up and Tail's End. It's not going to be a counter for Devious Cover-Up, but if we get that out of their hand, then Tail's End's more likely to resolve on their follow-up Walker here. So I'm guessing with the Wanderer, this is Jeskai Walker control. It's the third option. Debating whether or not to use their counter spells. Ah, they've just got more counter spells. Okay. Fair enough. Oh, we just lost two of our best cards for closing this game out. Hydro Crisis would have been solid. Yeah, and now they've got Narset plus Devious Cover-Up. Could Tail's End them here. Don't think we want to do that, though. Got to deal with 3 mana Narset as well with our zombie token, I think. Alright, let's go for it, get the counter spell out of their hand. And then that'll open up our suite of enchantments here. I think they're purely doing this for the card draw to kill the zombie in order to keep Parter Veils online. And yep, 4 counter spells enter their deck. And a minus. Alright, so they're not really drawing necessarily with that minus, because they're going to have to discard in order to keep Narset around just to stop us from drawing cards, because that's kind of a big deal for us. I'm going to get rid of an Ionize, yep. The sheer amount of counterspells is never ending. Alright, so now we're going to go for ECD. This is going to resolve and do a serious amount of damage to them. And I think we want to go with Narset Parter of Veils. Do we, though? That's a tough one. Because we do like card draw. But Narset's currently out of action. I guess we could go after Narset of the Ancient Way, because we're going to play a land drop and make a zombie there. Yeah, I probably should do that. And the zombie's low enough to the ground as well that the Wanderer can't deal with it. We do technically have Banishing Light and Faith's Fetters, but I don't think that their best use is on this particular board state. So I'm choosing not to get rid of any of these, because I think that's one, they're kind of forced into consistently answering things like this. Is that going to get anything back? It is not. Awesome. Alright, goodbye Narset. And yeah, I can't really hold up and Frilled Mystic at the same time. I do need to get rid of Elspeth Conquers Death, though. So we're going to have a bash with the Banishing Light. We all know that they've got nothing but counter spells, so it's either play a walker or counter a spell. That's purely their thing. Alright, so now we get to Frilled Mystic. The Rewind. And the thing is, they don't... Oh, now they've got a Narset, so... I was going to say, they don't really have anything for Elspeth Conquers Death anyway, so putting it under there kind of resets it, but... They're going to need an actual enchantment removal spell, and we've got rid of their Banishing Light already. Destroy all non-giants. Ooh, Baron. Baron's pretty good. So I think we'll lead off with Chulane, one card in hand. Is it another counterspell? Wow! You're so good at the game. So good at Magic the Gathering. Okay. And there's a 7/7. Which we can bounce with Baron. And they're tapped out. This is where we want them. They're on the ropes. We have no islands? Really? All these lands, we have no islands. Wow. Okay, so we're 1, 2... Actually. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The Wanderer deals with Voracious Hydra at that point. So we've got a Faith's Fetters, Voracious Hydra, and then do an X4, which is an 8-powered creature. It's not quite enough to finish the game off. Can't really do Chulane and Baron, though they're on kind of top decks. I don't really want to bounce it, though, because it basically blows up my entire board. So I kind of want to set it up where we win the game following it. I think I have to Faith's Fetters the Wanderer. Or perhaps just Baron, bounce Realm Cloak Giant. That's a tough one. Your opponent are thinking. I know some people don't like when we wait and make good decisions over a long period of time of deciding how to make the good decision. It's just a really tough call. I think we've got to Fetters the Wanderer here to stop it from doing that damage. And then let's do an X4 Voracious Hydra and double it. So now we present lethal on board. Should our opponent not go for Narset and a tick up or a tick down? Yes, they've got that option available to them for sure, but... Draws. Finds nothing of use. It's just a Castle Vantress. And we've got the zombie. Creature or Planeswalker. I think we have to just... Oh, it's a tough call. Do we just send it at our opponent? I think we kind of have to. We've not really seen any board wipes from them. So maybe they're due to find one, but... I think we've just got to put that pressure on. And I don't want Realm Cloak Giant back in their hand with Baron. And, you know, they've not done anything but counter our spells the entire game, so... I think we just pass. I think just passing is the option here, because if we give them maybe... I don't know. Some sort of counter option. It could value them. So they've got... oh no, they don't have Devious Cover Up anymore, of course. Yeah, I think we pass. I don't want to add anything to the board, because they might just draw a board wipe. And I can get them over the next 2 turns, I reckon. Should also go for my Scry as well. Thanks for reminding me, opponent. So they do have a -2. So they can kill the zombie. Or they could go for a double Narset, I suppose, to try and double hit the Voracious Hydra, but that will do it. Alright. Oh, Jesus. That is a slog to get through that matchup. That ended up being pretty fun, actually. I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with counterspells, I guess. Because I hate going up against them, but I feel like once I'm in the rhythm of playing around them and, you know, knowing that they're there and making the decisions based off of whether or not something will be countered or blown up or anything like that, it starts to get a little bit more interesting. It's something that 3 Fairy took away from me for a long time, so, you know, it's... I don't know, I like the back and forth interaction of counter magic, I guess. It's just, there's a time and a place, and you don't want to see it every time. So I fully understand people who just hate counter spells where the entire game plan is just saying no, which is definitely what happened here. I don't know if they played more than 4 spells that tried to tell me no. Yeah, that's kind of a no. That's a no on a large scale. That's definitely a no. That's a no on the stack. That's a you can't draw. That's a no. That's a no. That's a oops, you attacked, say no. This is a, you know, don't play too many of the same thing. That's a no. And that's to find no's. So, yeah. I don't know. I had fun. Hopefully you guys did too. Anyway, let's go for, I think, one more game. That was a long one. Alrighty then, we're in, and this hand is perfectly keepable with a Guardian Project, so we'll see how we can get on. We also have decent mana as well, turn 2 Paradise Druid, all looking good. Our opponent is playing a commander I don't think I've actually played myself. Primespeaker Vanifar, 4 mana, 2/4, sacrifice another creature, search your library for a creature card with a mana cost equal, but +1, and put it onto the battlefield. It's pretty good. You can only do it at sorcery speed though. But yeah, it kind of, in order to make Vanifar really work, it needs a lot of creatures that can untap Vanifar when they enter the battlefield. It's usually how they do their work. So like they'll tap a 1-drop to get, what's it called now? There's a 2 mana artifact that says when it enters the battlefield it untaps. So it untaps and then you sack that to get a 3-drop that untaps Vanifar, which I don't think actually exists. Yeah, I'm not sure if it actually exists. It does in every other format, but not this one. Alright, so I think we're just going to go straight for Guardian Project. That means that if Chulane comes down, it'll draw us a card as it enters, so it's pretty solid stuff. I don't think we care too much about Incubation Druid at this point. I'd rather save my Cavaliers, Banishing Lights, and Voracious Hydras specifically for Vanifar, since it's kind of their game plan. And see how we do. Yeah, pretty solid spot to come into as well. If they go for removal on Paradise Druid here, then we should be able to use our Voracious Hydra to kill Incubation Druid for whatever that's worth. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll figure it out. I guess that's maybe their debate as to whether or not they fight spell our Paradise Druid. Choosing not to. Okay. Well, we can go for Cavalier on Primespeaker. It's probably for the best that we do that now. Voracious Hydra can only do it X3, although... we can activate that, actually, so we can do X4. That's probably a little bit better. X4, draw a card, also fight Vanifar. I almost missed the Garenbrig there. Let's see what we can draw. Field of Ruin. Alright, so at least we got a land drop for the next turn. Which is nice. I think Vanifar really wants to be kind of in like Bant colors or a 3rd color, which obviously is not possible. Kefnet in a creature deck? That is the most non-required killing card I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm just going to leave it completely alone. Let's see. Can I actually... Can't really do Chulane off of that, eh? Alright, well, let's just do Chulane as it is. And then we got an Evolving Wilds. Alright, fair enough. I'm going to start drawing a lot of cards this turn, short of them having Flood of Tears, I guess, but I don't see them really running a card like that. Perhaps they have their own fight spells, and then Kefnet does its thing. Yeah. Affectionate Indrik. Fair enough. Alright, Chulane. Back to the hells of the command zone with you. Jolrael is actually quite good. So I think we want to go with that. Yeah, let's do Jolrael. So it enters, draw a second card, which triggers Jolrael. Solid value. Have we bottomed anything? We haven't. So I could go grab a island with the Evolving Wilds. Increase our Field of the Dead draw chance as well as immediate activation chance, which is kind of cool. And I guess we can go with a Gaia Engineer. It gives us a little bit more mana to work with next turn. We already have the way of triggering Jolrael and all of them shenanigans. And we'll pass so that the Indrik can't attack us. Can turn all of our creatures currently with Jolrael into 5/5s. That's okay, opponent. You can think. I'm not going to Yogo you for no reason. Pelt Collector, okay. Yeah, so they've got no pump spells. They've got no additional damage spells of any sort. Judging by that attack, Faith's Fetters is very good. So this would leave me with enough mana to actually go with a Leafkin Druid. Pretty solid stuff, actually. Maybe they got Tail's End? That would suck. They do not. Alright. Activate Jolrael, go a little bit wider. And then we'll go with a Leafkin Druid here. Probably should have gone Temple of Mystery, actually. So that we can dictate that draw. Now then, do I care about Night of Autumn? To be honest, there's a chance I'll care. So I'm going to keep it. We'll draw it. And we'll take it up. To be honest, like, Jolrael's going to win us this game. Like, almost immediately. We got Dream Eater for the end step. Okay. Now, what do they go to bounce? Because if it's a non-token, that's just a card in hand for Jolrael. Which means I can go in for a big strike next turn. Yeah, honestly, put Guardian Project in my hand. Yeah, do it. Yeah, big swing coming. Our opponent will be chump blocking with just about everything. Ooh, one Thought Mammoth, though. Alright, so goodbye, Chulane. It's fine. Back to the command zone with you. Cost 9 now, but I think we're at that point where we don't really care. Okay, so let's see. Jolrael, activate now. They're all 8/8s. And play out Forest. Go with Faith's Fetters on... I guess it's Meteor Golem? No, that'd top us out of our 8/8s. I guess we'll go Banishing Light, get rid of the Thor Mammoth. And then what's the swing looking like? They block 8, 16, they take 12. Yeah, this is enough. Send it. Sweet. Good old Jolrael. M21 All-Star. I imagine they maybe forgot about this or had no way of actually dealing with it. They had lots of interaction, though, that I was not expecting. Opponent, if you're watching, cut Kefnet. It does nothing. I didn't see it have a single instant or sorcery that's relevant. To run Kefnet, you need to have almost every single card that it hits actually be useful. So it basically needs to be proactive instants and sorceries to make Kefnet work. You can't have reactive counter spells and things like that and creatures, because, you know, otherwise it's just a 4-mana 4/5 flyer, which is fine, but there are better things than those stats, and you don't really want the look of trying to get maybe your 5th of your deck to roll over with Kefnet. It's just it's a losing battle on that one. I love this card. I really want it to be good, but it isn't. And that's the sad situation. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's video. We've had some good games, actually. This deck seems pretty decent. If you have enjoyed, I really would appreciate it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe as well for more Brawl content. It's one of our most popular series on the channel. So if you do enjoy the content, hitting the bell icon to get notifications when those videos go live is in your best interest, I imagine. But yeah, other than that, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.